Yo, this is going to be a quick and dirty reference video for the new Wii Virtual Console route for the Ocarina of Time any % speedrun. The first major difference is the file name. This is how you type it here. You can press L on the GameCube controller to get the alternate character for the third character if you didn't know that, and R to switch between the keyboards. After talking to Mido, you want to side hop towards the Babas facing west, like you see here. The first main difference in the route is the movement to the crawl space after getting return A. There's a couple different ways to do this, but the only thing you absolutely need to do for the heap to be set up correctly is land on this platform and collect this rupee from this platform. Other than that, you can choose however you want to maneuver. There's a couple different ways to do it, so pick whichever one is the most consistent for you.
Thought that didn't reach for a sec.
Alright, so after you make your way to the rock circle, after getting walking while talking, you're going to want to use this rock here to the right instead of the one to the left of this, as you can see in this wonderful diagram. And the way you position yourself here is you want to have the back of Link's boot slightly above this little dark spot on the ground next to the rock. And you also want to hold right as you slash to increase the positional range that you can be standing in to successfully pick up the rock. The angle that we're looking for at the end here is ACA0. There's a few different setups for this, so I'll show them all from slowest to fastest. The slowest but easiest way is after you get into the Baba hallway, you want to align the camera to 8000 and then turn to the left so you're facing the wall. You wait until the camera stops moving completely, and then you walk down for at least 3 frames. So you can just kind of hold down for a second. It doesn't really matter if it's more than 3 frames, as long as it's at least 3. Then you want to turn around 180 degrees, so just tap up. It doesn't matter if you move a little bit, as long as the camera doesn't change. And then you want to do 2 ESS turns to the right, and you'll be at ACA0. This next one is much faster and it seems very simple. All you have to do is align the camera to 8000 after coming back from the Baba hallway, and then you want to flick down right so that Link's facing angle is 2000. And then after you do that, all you have to do is ESS up and then ESS to the left until you get to ACA0. Unfortunately, this only works if your controller has perfect diagonals. So what that means is that if you hold down right or flick down right, the numbers for the X and Y values need to match. So that needs to be 56, negative 56, 57, negative 57, and so on. If they match, then you have a perfect diagonal and you can just flick and get the 2000 angle. But if they don't match, you need to do something else to get this strategy to work. And there is this strat you can do where after you run down the hallway, you unplug your controller, okay, and then you hold up left on the control stick while it's still unplugged. Now what you want to do is plug it back in, very quickly flick down right, and then immediately unplug it. And what that should do is that should force the game to give you a perfect diagonal because you've reset the neutral position, held down right, so it's like holding way further than it normally would. And then after you do that, you want to plug your controller back in normally without holding anything so you have normal controls again. Here's a video of Save State doing it. It looks kind of intimidating with how fast they do it, but there is kind of a rhythm to it, and with some practice you can make it very consistent. This last method is a little bit different than the other two. It's faster and it doesn't require any ESS turns. However, it does require that you hit one very specific angle. And this angle you can only get consistently with some kind of external hardware. And what that means is that you need your Y value for your up left notch to be 43. You also need your X value to be less than negative 67, which is just as important for the angle to work, but usually will follow if your Y is 43. One way to get the Y value of your up left notch to equal 43 is to unplug your controller and then plug it back in while holding very slightly up. This will offset the neutral position of your control stick, and the exact amount that you need to offset this by in order to get your up left notch's Y value to 43 is different for basically every controller. But if you do a little experimenting, you should be able to find a value that will work for you. So ideally what you would do is set up this control stick offset on the practice mod, GZ, and then switch games to vanilla Ocarina of Time and then do runs with this precisely modified control stick value. The problem with this, and the reason that this method is going to require some external hardware one way or another, is that when you switch games in the Wii, no matter how you do it, basically, it will kill power to the controller long enough for it to reset the neutral value of your control stick. So you're going to need something to power your controller through a reset or a change of game on the Wii. If you have a GameCube controller adapter, such as the EM adapter or ZAS's adapter, I believe those work to power your controller at all times, so you can just use that if you have it. I'm sure you could probably engineer some other method to give power to your controller that is beyond my technical capabilities. Another possible solution for this, if you have an input viewer, is to use vanilla Ocarina of Time instead of GZ to check the value by rigging up some kind of software for your input viewer to display exact control stick values. So you can simply check it on the title screen in Ocarina of Time and then close it and start a run when you've got it correct. Another solution to this, to bypass the controller neutral offset method entirely, is if you have an adapter like the EM adapter, you can use the built-in notch calibration tool to calibrate every notch except for the up left notch normally, and then for the up left notch you can just finesse it so that your Y value is equal to 43 and then play like that. It should be noted that both of these methods, depending on your controller, can change the movement for the rest of the run very slightly. I know some people are complaining about how it feels to have an up left notch that's like slightly misaligned. It can kind of mess up your movement, so you might have to relearn some things, but that is another solution. Okay, so assuming you actually have some kind of solution for that, here is how you set up the angle. So to start, you're going to want a little bit of space between Link and the wall. So when you're coming back from the Baba hallway, as the camera changes and you're walking down to get the camera to 8,000, you're going to want to just kind of hold down right just for a second, just to kind of put that distance in between Link and the wall. And after that, once the camera is aligned to 8,000, you're going to want to tap left for 2 frames exactly. It's really important that it's only 2 frames you press left for. 1 frame, 3 frames, anything else is not going to work. It's really precise, but it's actually kind of easy to get the muscle memory for this. It's just a quick little tap. So from this position, you can hold up left into your correctly calibrated notch, and you will get ACA 0. So practically what that looks like after you tap left for 2 frames is you just want to hold into your up left notch and then hold R to shield. And you have 3 frames of leniency for this. So there are 3 frames where you can be holding up left into the notch, assuming your angle is correct, and you'll still get ACA 0. And within that 3 frame window you have, as long as the frame that you press R on is the one where your Y value is 43, you'll get it. It doesn't really matter what before or after that is. So for this example, you can see that the first value I got when I pressed into my up left notch was 44, and then after I held R, I also got 44 again. But you can see that on the exact frame that I pressed R, my Y value was 43, so it still worked. Last couple things to note about this route: if you get sent to the Know-It-All Brothers house instead of the credits, that means you did everything right. There's just something like a 30% chance that the game will send you there instead for reasons that are not completely understood yet. If the Deku Babas load instead of getting the credits, that means your heap was bad and you messed up somewhere earlier in the run. If instead of getting the credits you get nothing, so no Deku Babas load, nothing happens, Link's just standing there, or you crash, that means that your angle was bad and it was something other than ACA0. If you're more of a beginner and need more information about the basics of the run, I'll have links in the description to older tutorials that go more in depth with the movement and just the basics for the any% run that haven't really changed from route to route. Other than that, if you have any more questions, you can join the Ocarina of Time speedrunning Discord, and there are tons of people in there who would love to help you out. Thanks for watching.